So we have Ram, and Ram is a developer advocate for the Cloud Foundry Foundation. Welcome, Ram, and you will be talking about the software bill of materials, specifically in Buildpacks, if I'm not mistaken. So without any further ado, please go ahead. Your slides are on, your screen sharing is on, and the floor is all yours. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you, Sam. Thanks, Brian. Hello, everybody. My name is Ram. I'm a developer advocate at the Cloud Foundry Foundation. We are a nonprofit that basically helps in governance and maintenance of the Cloud Foundry project, and we also work with a lot of associated projects. I'm going to go a little quickly through my questions and my demo just to sort of make up time. But the pertinent questions are, what is it that I'm going to talk about? So there's a concept called Buildpacks, which is basically a tool that was designed in order to make building apps easier. Now, this started way back in 2010-11. It was pioneered at Heroku, and it provided that magical experience, if everybody can recall, of you have your application source code and you just say git push heroku run master, what have you. So it made these one-click deploys and all of these convenient ways for developers possible. And Cloud Foundry was another platform that took advantage of Buildpacks. Now, if it's 10 years old, you might wonder, why are we talking about it today? What has happened in the past 10 years is the tools are seeing a form of resurgence, in that they have become container first, and they've been redesigned for a cloud native era from the ground up. So they no more do binaries like they did 10 years ago, but instead they actually output container images that are OCI compatible. I'll go into a little bit of detail about how and what and why, but the project that is managing this is part of the CNCF. It's known as the Cloud Native Buildpacks project, and their website is buildpacks.io. Now, today, we'll be using a particular implementation of the Buildpack specification known as Paketo Buildpacks. Now, please know that both buildpacks.io and Paketo are open source. Paketo is governed by the Cloud Foundry Foundation. It's a project owned by us, and there's a wonderful community of engineers and advocates who are part of Heroku, part of VMware, part of Google and other places, who back this Buildpacks technology. Now, as I mentioned before, it's seeing some sort of a resurgence, and Buildpacks are starting to be used in a lot of popular infrastructure or some PaaS offerings by these infrastructure companies as well. So Waypoint is an example. DigitalOcean's app platform is an example. Google has like multiple platform offerings that make use of Buildpacks, and there's obviously Cloud Foundry that takes advantage of Buildpacks as well. Recently, the conversation of security has started to veer towards open source and open source supply chain security. So what that means is that when developers, whether they're like bedroom coders or boardroom coders, all tend to grab a bunch of open source libraries that tend to contribute certain parts of a particular problem that they're trying to solve. And so what happens over time is people lose control, or people lose track of what are the different components that they've been using over time. So this notion of creating a bill of materials where all the different components that are being used in a particular piece of software are tracked has started to become mainstream. Now, this is particularly obfuscated by the use of containers as the immutable artifact that gets deployed, because containers are never easy to quickly examine. Though that has been improving over time. And so a software bill of materials is something you include within a container image that will contain the metadata of all the different components that have gone into building the specific container. So it provides a very simple way and a simple mechanism to examine what's in the container and what are the dependencies, the versions, and things like that. Okay, so I'll get into a bit of the detail about some of the other information that you might need to know. In the interest of time, what I have done is I've picked like a couple of different code bases that we can definitely try. So I'm going to go here, clone this, and then I'm going to build a container from this. So let's see. Yeah, so the first thing I'll be doing is removing the Docker file, and I don't want you to get shocked. So one of the big advantages of making use of build packs is you don't need Docker files. So if you've struggled with Docker files in the past, then this is a great way to start building your images. Now the command is simply pack build, give your image a name, and then I'm going to run this, but you need another parameter, and that parameter is known as a builder. So build packs come with like a bunch of different builders, and the pack CLI, which is basically an implementation of the build packs team, is capable of specifying what are the different builders that you need. So basically I'm going to pick a builder image. I'm picking a smaller one in the interest of time, and this is very much suitable for like the developer workflow. So now, because I've done this in the past, there's probably a lot of pieces that are cached, but this is essentially the build process that we have. So without specifying what language I'm using, without making use of a Docker file, build packs are able to inspect your code, which is what happens in this phase, and then decide how to build it and go ahead and actually build the image and containerize that application. So it comes with like a whole bunch of different scripts that are available to make this possible. So let's see, the image is ready, and then pack provides like a bunch of different ways in which you can inspect your image. So in this case, I'm going to inspect this image that we just built. And so one of the advantages that I find is it's very transparent in terms of what is in the image. So it tells you what has gone into building the base image. It tells you what has gone into building the run image and all of this different stuff. Now, if I add a key to show the bill of materials, that is the --bomb key, then it will also give me information in a JSON format of what the bill of materials are for this particular image. Now I'm just going to format it a little better so folks can read and understand what has gone into it. So this is a list of all the dependencies that are available inside this whole image. Now I built an image a little earlier, and I'm going to inspect that one. So okay, let's see. All right, so I am going to inspect this Java image that I had built. It was called, let's see if I'm lucky. Again, I could show you the whole sort of build path, but again, it takes a while. So basically, if you look at this, it has got all the information about the JREs, the JDKs, some helper classes that have been added, and all of these different stuff about certificates and things. So again, I'm not saying that this is completely sufficient for what it is that you want to do, but I think it's a great starting point. So in terms of formats, SBOMs have two formats. There's one called Cyclone DX that you can check out. This is backed by the OWASP Foundation, and there's one called SPDX. Yeah, and this is backed by the Linux Foundation. So you can check that out at spdx.dev. So that's some information about the formatting standards. Now, obviously, there's this is just scratching the surface about this technology. Buildpacks.io is your resource for learning about the Cloud Native Buildpacks specification, and it has information about the Pack CLI as well, which is the tool that we use to build the image and inspect it and do all kinds of interactivity. Paketo is .io is the place you can go to learn more about Paketo, which is a very specific implementation of the Cloud Native Buildpack specification. All right. So yeah, that's really all I had today. And thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, I'm definitely going to be available on the Hopin platform for a little bit. But if there's any questions I can take immediately, I can do that as well.
Hey Ram, thank you for this great session. And I love that the gas bombs are such a big thing nowadays. We can show to our suppliers basically what we're depending on, so they can have a true feeling on what they're actually pulling in, not just trusting us on our nice green or blue lights, but actually have proof of that. So I think it's a great thing, and I love the build packs. I'm using them myself all the time to create containers. So thank you for that. At this point, we don't have any questions. So I probably think because you were super clear and at your talk. So thank you so much. And in the meantime, it's our lightning talk. So let's go on to the next one. Ram, thank you so much for being there, and
Bye.
see you later.